Live from New York, this is the Harvey Hour. My name is Stephen Harvey. Great to have you in on a Tuesday. As always, I'm joined alongside my dad, Stephen Harvey. How you doing today on this Tuesday?
Show. A lot of good topics today.
Yeah, we got a lot. We got a lot to talk about. We got some breaking news. We got some contracts. The Lions are spending absurd amounts of money. Also, feels good. Drake May, not looking too good, according to Gerard Mayo, but we'll get into that very, very shortly. Let's begin with our first topic of today's video. Let's jump right into it with Jared Goff. He signed a 4-year, $212 million extension with the Detroit Lions, with $170 million of that guaranteed. This makes Goff the second highest paid quarterback in the league, making about $53 million a year. That's one under Joe Burrow at $55 million. The Lions have spent over $400 million on only 3 players. Goff making this massive contract. Penei Sewell, their tackle, making $120 million over 4 years, and then Amon-Ra St. Brown making 4 years, $112 million. They signed a lot of guys in this offseason, or they spent for large sums of money. Spending a lot of money. This is crazy. But I want to know, how far do you think, since the Lions locked up Goff for the foreseeable future, how far do you think that they can go with Goff as their quarterback?
Well, they went to the NFC Championship last year, so I think the expectation is they get back there and perhaps make it to the Super Bowl. That's their goal for sure. I mean, they put the money where their mouth is, and they've locked up 3 players that they consider cornerstone players. I think Goff, I think it was a smart move, actually, on their part. You look at what they've done. They've locked up the players that they think can help them get to the Super Bowl compared to what Dallas has done. Dallas has been sitting on the sidelines watching the prices go up, 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 up. I mean, it's going to be very interesting how this contract with Goff sets the bar for Dak Prescott. I think either he gets a contract that supersedes it, or he winds up a free agent, one or the other. There's no in-between there. He's going to have to wind up with a very similar contract unless he decides to give Dallas a discount. But why would he do that? No players ever do that anymore. So I think, the Lions didn't want his contract and possible free agency to be an issue or a distraction. They want to build on a breakthrough season that they had last year. He's the highest Lion and a paid Lion in franchise history. He's been one of the best quarterbacks the last 2 years, particularly starting halfway through, not last year, but the year before. He really stepped up. He didn't have really any mistakes in the second half of that year, almost got him to the playoffs. Last year, 67.3%, almost 4,600 yards, 30 TDs. 12 interceptions, a 97.9 rating. That's pretty good. 12-5 record. First Lions playoff appearance in 32 years. Beat the LA Rams in the first round, 24-23, which was a great game. We watched that game. I really loved that. That was phenomenal. It was a phenomenal game. Beat Tampa Bay, but lost to the 49ers. I think some of those, that loss to the 49ers, you could pin on Dan Campbell, but we won't get into that here.
Your favorite coach.
The cornerstone players, Amon-Ra St. Brown. He's the second highest paid receiver in the league, and Penei Sewell is the highest paid player at his position. At $53 million average annual salary, second highest paid only to Burrow. Goff's been with them since 2021. That was a great trade for the Lions.
Yeah.
They wound up with 2 first-round picks in addition to Goff, who's played as well or maybe even better than Stafford, although Stafford did win a Super Bowl. We got that.
Oh, yeah. No,
so the Rams, I'd say the Rams.
I got the comparison down.
The Rams, I feel like both teams feel like they got good value in that trade.
They should.
The Lions got Jamison Williams, a wide receiver, and Jamar Gibbs, a running back, with those first-round picks. And then the third rounder, they got a McNeil, a defensive tackle. He was the first-round pick and the first number 1 pick in 2016 by the Rams out of California. And his third year, they went to the Super Bowl, got beat by the Patriots 13-3. So
yeah,
I think it was a smart move on the Lions' part. I like Jared Goff. As an 8-year veteran, he's right where he needs to be.
You think so?
Yeah.
Well,
with a $200 million contract,
well, yeah,
how could he be?
Now it's $200 million, but Yeah, I think we got to remember, we got to put context around just Jared Goff even being with Detroit. He was used as sort of just a contractual, get rid of a stopgap or a placeholder until the Lions go find the next quarterback. And then they're like, oh, snap. The guy could actually play quarterback at a pretty high level. And he kept winning and winning and winning, so much so that Goff actually helped Detroit get to, in the past 2 seasons, win the most amount of games they've ever had in two straight seasons at 21 wins. So he's doing stuff that the Lions really haven't seen at all. First division title in like 30 years. First playoff appearance in 32 years. First playoff win in 30-something years.
32 years.
Nearly made the Super Bowl. They were dominating the 49ers at halftime, and then all of a sudden, Dan Gamble appeared at the worst inopportune times, and lo and behold, here we are again. 2024 now headed into with Jared Goff making a large sum of money. But yeah, this is impressive all around. I think he deserved this. He's a top 10 quarterback, hands down, through and through. But yeah, let's talk about that trade now, which was back in January 2021, where the Lions got Jared Goff in exchange for Matthew Stafford and a bunch of other pieces. But those were obviously the 2 main pieces. Let's compare the 2 quarterbacks, because now we talk. You brought up Dak Prescott, and I do think Dak Prescott has the leverage in his situation because it's the Cowboys. Really, it's only the Cowboys. Dak has not really played himself into being the highest paid quarterback in the NFL. But I do think just because it's the Cowboys and they can't make any contractual decision correctly, just look at Ezekiel Elliott. I guarantee you, the Micah Parsons and CeeDee Lamb, that's already screwed up. You're already going to pay them way more than you have to. And now Dak Prescott, you're now on round 2 of having to pay him more instead of giving him the extension before his contract is up, a year or 2 before it's up. But let's compare now the 2 quarterbacks between Matthew Stafford and Jared Goff, because while we think Jared Goff, because we saw him with the Rams lose to the Patriots and the Rams kicked him out the door, just how good has he been? Well, he's Matthew Stafford. We can now basically say he's Matthew Stafford. Yes, he has 11 fewer yards per game, but he has more touchdowns, fewer picks, higher pass rating, higher completion percentage, and the same amount of wins since that trade happened. They are essentially the same quarterback. Here's the only problem, though. One had a top 3 defense and won the Super Bowl against an offensive line that didn't exist against the Cincinnati Bengals, and the other one has had no defense for 3 straight years. Now, it is improving year after year after year, but Jared Goff has suffered with one of the worst defenses, at least passing-wise, in the NFL for the past couple seasons. He himself has played perfectly fine, because once again, he is Matthew Stafford. And Matthew Stafford was able to win a Super Bowl, but they had Cooper Kupp. And when they had Aaron Donald defensively, Leonard Floyd, Von Miller, they were able to win. Even Jalen Ramsey they had.
Odell Beckham. So as long as you had that defense, I guarantee you Jared Goff would have been perfectly fine, which they actually had at some moments this season. They had Jack Campbell. You also had a pretty, at least name-wise, decent secondary. Brian Branch, great draft pick. I actually had him high in the first round. I forgot who I had him drafted to, but I had him pretty high in the first round. And then the Lions picked him up. He got a pick 6 week 1 last season against Mahomes that kind of, won them that game. So the Lions are improving year after year. So now you lock up a definite franchise quarterback, top 10 quarterback in the league. And we have to remember, what was CBS Sports power rankings of quarterbacks? He's 13th. 13th in the power rankings. That's way too low. He should be above Tua, who in cold weather, he's a horrible quarterback. Aaron Rodgers coming back from an Achilles injury. And Jordan Love, we've seen one good half of a season. That's it. He's a top 10 quarterback. I honestly put Dak Prescott at 11, move Goff maybe even up above Justin Herbert, who did not have a good year last year. I would definitely say at least Goff is a top 9 quarterback in the league. I agree. I think he is ranked too low.
And there is some obviously discrepancies. Brock Purdy, once again, we could debate.
I mean, he got farther into the playoffs than Jordan Love did.
Right. Yeah.
And Aaron Rodgers didn't even play last year. So how can you put those guys ahead of Goff?
Potential. I don't understand why Rodgers. I think they're just projected. Even though, according to them, actually, they said right now, not at the end of 2024, 2025, but right now. So I don't know how you could judge Rodgers on right now when he played a total of 75 seconds of football. He played 4 plays.
I know.
Top 11 quarterback. I don't know.
That ranking, we talked about it last week.
Yeah.
And that's some funny picks
there's
in
a couple,
there.
There's a couple
ranking these rookie quarterbacks, rookie quarterbacks up there in the high 20s when they haven't even played a snap yet in the NFL. Very different league than playing in college.
Right. So, I mean, you could have a problem with that. I find it interesting that the next guy we're going to talk about, actually, Drake May, isn't even on here. Jacoby Brissett, they projected as the starter. So I think it's weird, but good for the Lions. Lock up your franchise guy for the next couple of years. I think you made it to they made it to the NFC Championship game last season. I'm not saying Super Bowl, but if you basically have the same team, you lost, I think, Josh Reynolds. That's a decent piece to lose. But you have your main playmakers there already. Sam
this year, this coming year has got to be their year to really try.
Well, not only that, because the 49ers, they're in win now mode. Everybody's getting older. Contracts are coming up. You got to pay a lot of people. People are aging. The 49ers are in win now mode.
I think the Lions have to be too. They made it to the NFC Championship game. They lost a game that they could have won. I think there's some coaching decisions there that were very questionable.
I agree with you there.
Maybe they learned something from that. They get back to that game, they have a good chance to win it, I think. And that would be historic for Detroit. It would cement those guys as legends, some of them, on that team if they made it to the Super Bowl and won it.
Well, I think Jared Goff would finally get his revenge on just the NFL.
They haven't had a championship before the Super Bowl was begun.
They've never made it to a Super Bowl.
They never made it to a Super Bowl.
I believe so. They've never made it to. They made it to what? Was it AFL championship or what?
No, it wasn't AFL. They were never AFL. They won an NFL.
The old NFL.
They won an NFL championship in 1957, I think. 1957. Check it. I'm pretty sure that's the last time they won a championship.
1957. Yeah. That's utterly ridiculous. They've won 4 championships actually over the course of their
the last one was 1957.
The last one was 1957.
There you
correct.
go. See? I knew that.
Can you guess the quarterback?
Was it Bobby Lane?
Yeah.
Hey, pretty
there
good.
You go.
Huh?
History buff over here. So yeah, there you go. 1957. But since then, they've never even made it to another. They've never made it to a Super Bowl ever in their entire history since the Super Bowl happened. So
I
Jared
think the
Goff
interesting part of this is, and
something.
I think Dak Prescott's going to be calling up Jared Goff and saying congratulations, because I think you just iced a big contract for him. Maybe not this year, but when in free agency.
Yeah,
I think he and Trevor Lawrence, they're the next ones up.
Well,
they're
also
probably
Tua as well. He's a part
Tua
of that
and Jordan Love.
Right?
I do
is the
think
massive question.
Jordan Love and Tua. Do you expect them to get over $50 million a year?
I think Tua will. Jordan Love, we've seen one season, and it wasn't a bad season. It half of the season, the first half was
ugly,
and then the second half, like, oh, this guy could play. And then in the playoffs, you go up against the Cowboys, and you're just dissecting that defense like it's no other. Dak Prescott screwed at that point. He also had a couple self-inflicting wounds in that game, but by the half, they scored 1 touchdown with 12 seconds remaining in the half. So basically, that game was done with. Jordan Love could sit on the bench for the rest of the game, and they would have won that game hands down.
Yeah.
So we've seen one half and a little bit more than a half of a season where Jordan Love plays well. That's the massive question mark.
He played well in the second playoff game too, right?
It was rainy, had an opportunity to win.
He had an opportunity to win it.
Brock Purdy should have thrown a couple interceptions. He got away with a number of interesting plays. Even was the Brandon Ayuk crazy catch? Was that against the Lions? It was like a ricochet catch.
Yes.
That was against the Lions?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, probably. But, hey, good job for Jared Goff. Good job for the Lions. You got to rebuild that defense, though. That defense needs a lot of work. And maybe this year we'll see a pretty damn good Lions team, who, by the way, last year I picked them to win the division. I'm picking them to win again. I think that's a safe bet. The Lions, it's crazy to say, just based on history, to say that the Lions are here to stay for a long time. It hasn't been, since the 90s where they've been a powerhouse with Barry Sanders?
That was one of the reasons I didn't always pick them during the season last year, because the consistency issue.
Right.
They never have been consistent.
Yeah. Even with Megatron, you didn't really do much. You had Matt
I thought
Stafford
they would
Megatron.
be inconsistent last year, but they 12-5. That's pretty consistent.
Same record as the Cowboys, same record as the 49ers.
Yeah.
It was the second best record in the NFL. Baltimore went 13-4. I'm saying that they're here to stay for. I'm gonna just throw this out here. They're gonna come. They are a strong contender to win the NFC. Be the number 1 seed in the NFC, and I think honestly, depending if everybody's healthy.
I wonder what we'll have to look at their schedule.
Schedule comes out tomorrow, actually. So we'll talk about that later on in the week. But good for the Lions, good for Jared Goff. And Dak Prescott, he just got an ace of spades handed to him right now. He's got a full house. So good for him. Let's get into our next topic here, which is pretty fascinating. So, the Patriots' first-time head coach, Jerod Mayo, talked with the Patriots media on Saturday about the third overall pick, Drake May, after a rookie minicamp. And check out this interesting comment by Jerod Mayo.
Early impressions of Drake, look, I mean, he has a lot to work on. But I have no doubt that he'll put the time in. Look, it's all about, hard work works. We talk about it all the time, and he's working hard. So day one is kind of hard. It's kind of hard to really say, this guy did X, Y, and Z.
Well, I want to know. A lot of talk now about Drake May not even starting. Brian Hoyer said the Patriots should be in no rush to start him. But being the third overall pick, I think a lot of people are expecting you draft him that high. You don't generally expect that type of player at that high of a pick to sit on the bench. So do you think Drake May will be the Patriots starter by week 1?
That's a hard question. I think that given that Jerod Mayo has said that his legacy will be defined by the success of Drake May, means that they're going to be watching him very carefully and hoping that he can make the right decisions and play mistake-free football in the preseason so that they might give him the opportunity to start. But given that they brought in Jacoby Brissett, I would almost think that he has the inside track. And of course, Bailey Zappi said he expects to be the starting quarterback, and he's going to do everything he can to win the job.
And you also got Joe Milton as well.
Joe Milton, who they said was throwing bombs out there,
yep.
and when he in his. Which is interesting that they even drafted him. I mean, somebody's out for sure, right? They can't have 4 quarterbacks. So sometimes the Patriots have carried 3 quarterbacks, but now they're under
carried 4 with Brady.
Totally new leadership. So I don't know whether they will carry 3 quarterbacks or 2. We'll have to wait and see. If they carried 3, then they could have Milton as the
emergency quarterback,
the emergency taxi squad quarterback.
Squad.
Yeah. So Mayo, he did praise May.
Yeah.
His first performance, but says as you said, he has a lot to work on. He said that twice. He has a lot to work on. He has a lot to work on. He said thinks he will put in the time. They said that May was there. They said something about May being there all night, trying to get on the same page with the coaches about the system. Time, as Mayo says, time is the biggest hurdle for him. There's not only so much time that he can spend trying to get prepared to play, and the game time and being on the field in a real game, that's where he's going to learn the most, and he's going to make some mistakes. He's a rookie, so they're going to expect that, and if they think he's the cornerstone, they'll be willing to accept some time for him to learn his footwork and be able to operate under center. Most of those college quarterbacks, they got to learn how to play under center because they were all in the shotgun for most of their careers. Very few of them take the snap from under center. It's all with the shotgun offense. So that's something he's got to learn the footwork that goes along with it. But they think he's a hard worker and that he'll get out there and do what he has to do to be able to get on the field. And, May said he felt good, but what else is he going to say,
Obviously.
right? I mean, he's going to say that. I think he has a good offensive coordinator in Alex Van Pelt, who was a quarterback. I mean, he never was a very good one, but he was an NFL quarterback, so he knows what it takes to play. And
right.
And they say that he will give May time to learn the system and give him time to grow. But May said that he's going to be in your face if you're not doing your job. So. I think maybe that will be a good match. Van Pelt, 4 years with the Browns, worked mostly with the quarterbacks when he was there.
Did get fired.
I mean, last year, it had five different quarterbacks start at least one game, and they made the playoffs. So
right.
That speaks reasonably high for him. They were smart enough
But he
to
also
go
got
out.
fired, though.
Yeah.
It speaks highly of him, but he did get fired.
Yeah. That's kind of odd, I thought.
Yeah, no,
that he got fired.
It definitely
I thought he
is
did a good
strange.
job. I mean, bringing in Joe Flacco and getting him into the offense, he played like he'd taken 10 years off of his
Literally,
his
the
age,
stats say
the way he
that, too.
played.
He was playing back like 2012 Joe Flacco.
Oh, yeah.
So, I'm going to, a lot of people really ring me out about my previous Drake May take when I literally compared scouting reports, which basically ring the same tune as Mac Jones's scouting reports. I'm sticking with that. I'm not going to bash him because there is a lot of upside, incredible arm. He has very, very nice athleticism. I'm not denying that. Never did, never will. The arm strength is very visible. Watch the tape. Listen to what people say. Very, very noticeable. However, let's be honest here. The Patriots are not all that great. Their wide receiver core, according someone from ESPN, I'm going to get the name right now, did a ranking system and the projection system. Mike Clay had a projection system for the New England Patriots, and he ranked the wide receiver core as the worst wide receiver core in the NFL.
Really?
The worst. And based on the schedule alone, only have 2 games where it's a 50 or 51% chance to win. Everything else is in the 30 to 20% chance to win. So really, based on the projections, the Patriots, no matter what the quarterback is, and he actually has Drake May being the starter, throwing for 3,300 yards, 17 touchdowns, 13 picks. Here's the big one, though. 40 sacks. Because we have to acknowledge this offensive line also is not that great. It's just not. The Patriots are not built to win right now. They're definitely not built to make it to the playoffs. And they're for damn sure not built to win a Super Bowl. Hell, not even win a playoff game. But what I do find interesting is that Gerard Mayo said that he'll need a lot of work. So who exactly is that pointed to? Is it pointed towards the coaches? Is it pointed towards Drake May? Is it pointed towards ownership? That because we heard Jonathan Kraft be so involved in the drafting process that, you know what? Drake May maybe is not a complete package yet. He's maybe not fully fledged out. Maybe like Mac Jones was when he came into the NFL. Everybody said he was the most NFL-ready quarterback amongst everyone there because Zach Wilson was not refined. Trevor Lawrence, maybe. Trey Lance, definitely not. And then Justin Fields, potentially. But based on what we saw from Mac, it's crazy to think Mac Jones and playing well because what we've seen recently from Mac Jones, he plays horrible. But his last season with Alabama, 4,500 yards, 77% completion percentage, and 45 touchdowns. Never been done before in college football. So he was coming into the NFL really, really good. He was coming in looking like a very, very good quarterback.
He played okay his first year.
He played very well his first year. So I'm not saying Drake May will be horrible. Would he make it to the Pro Bowl his rookie year?
No.
Will he make it to the playoffs his rookie year?
No.
And you know what I find actually kind of funny? I think if you looked at this roster and saw, Demario Douglas, a pretty nice slot receiver. Kendrick Bourne, I like Kendrick Bourne a lot. Jalen Polk, I think he's going to be a pretty decent receiver. Juju Smith-Schuster, Javon Baker, maybe. A lot of people like him. I'm going to throw it out here and just say, I'm taking a shot at here, hot take potentially. I think Drake May, in his current position, is set up to succeed more than Mac was. Because I'll also lay this out. Proper titles, proper positioning in the coaching staff and in the front office. Elliot Wolf now is the executive, director of personnel. He has control of everything to do with the roster. They actually have people within these positions. They have named roles. OC, DC, people know who's responsible. Gerard Mayo, head coach, and he's only the head coach. He's not also running the team.
I think it's questionable whether Alex Van Pelt is as good a coach as McDaniels, right? I mean, McDaniels is one of the best offensive coordinators in the league and did a fantastic job for the Patriots. He did a fantastic job for Mac Jones.
I would completely agree.
If he'd been there, if he'd stayed there, I think Mac Jones might good chance he'd still be with the Patriots. I mean, the offense lost a lot of talent, that's for sure. And they didn't really try that hard to replace it. They became just very defensive oriented. Cost Belichick his job.
Yeah.
But
potentially his career,
if
too.
McDaniels had stayed and they tried to keep a few pieces on offense, my thought is Mac Jones would probably still be with the Patriots.
I would agree with you. If they kept Josh McDaniels, or at least kept him there, or even hired him for this season, keep Mac because he got fired from the Raiders, I think he would have been okay. Now, maybe not, because what we saw at the end of Mac's tenure is confidence completely shot. Mac, I don't even think the yips is the right word, because it's worse than that. Because normally, I said this, back, I think during the Colts game or the Giants game. When you have the yips, you don't do something. Mac does the worst possible outcome you could possibly have. He goes into harm's way. He doesn't shy away from everything. He just makes the worst possible decision. So it's more than the yips. But according to this ranking system, the Patriots will have the 31st ranked offense.
Yeah, who's worse?
My guess would be the Giants. I didn't go through, all 32 NFL teams. It is the Giants.
Yeah.
Wow. Even so, according to this projection, their defense, remember that defensive line that they started to bulk up with the Giants did? That'd still be ranked 31st in the league. So I'm going to go through these projections, and for later this week's show, we're actually doing it on Saturday instead of Friday. I want to go through a couple of these because there's some interesting ones. Mike Clay, 2024 NFL predictions. It's fascinating, but I'm not shying away yet. I'm sticking with it. Drake May will be okay. Will he be better than Mack his rookie year? No, he won't, because he's still very erratic. Just look at the film.
Do you think he's going to start?
I think because he's the 3rd overall pick, you draft him that high, what you're saying is there was no doubt in your mind that he was the guy. It sounds like maybe ownership's trying to say this, that they were never thinking about trading back. The fans want them. I guarantee the fans want Drake May to start. I think Drake May will end up being the week 1 starter.
Mm-hmm.
Because you drafted him way too high.
I think he has to play reasonably well in the preseason.
Currently, based on based on what we're hearing, he would need to win the job from Jacoby Brissett.
Yeah, well, that might be hard to do. Jacoby Brissett.
He's not a bad quarterback.
He's had a lot of experience.
Yeah,
he's going to be playing in the preseason. A lot of players out there that won't be playing the starting role, so Brissett could wind up looking pretty good there, leading up to the beginning of the season.
And Brissett's not a bad quarterback at all. He stabilized the Browns when Deshaun Watson was suspended. Didn't do a great job, but it didn't go 0-11.
Right.
And then you go on.
He wasn't so good for the Colts.
I just think
he started out well, and then he didn't. He kind of faded.
I think it was too early. That's what I think it was. Yeah. In his career, he was still developing, and then he goes to the Commanders. Sam Howell sucks toward the end of the year. And
he never really got much of a chance.
Well, no, I guarantee you why. They were going for a higher draft pick. Sam Howell sucked. Jacoby Brissett comes in, leads him, I think nearly leads him to a game-winning drive. And then Ron Rivera's like, no, we're going to keep Sam Howell in there. Sam Howell's terrible. And my guess is that's why. But hey, I saw a couple of videos of Jaden Daniels practicing.
Looks pretty good. Yeah.
It looks pretty damn good. All right, we're going to take a break, but coming up, Sean Payton has a questionable comparison between Bo Nix and a golfer, as well as, this one's interesting, Tom BRady. His game that his first broadcasting game got announced. Well, let's talk about that right after this.
Whether you're just discovering your voice or taking your show to the next level, you know what the world needs to hear. All you have to do is say it. With Spotify, set up your podcast. Your food podcast. Your mindfulness podcast. Your never thought you'd get this far podcast. And watch those sparks fly.
I put a picture of the comment.
Drop the episode anywhere people listen. And find out who they're cooking with. Where they're finding inner balance. And why they love your show. You're already a creator. Now you can create, connect, and get paid for your passion with one single free tool. Spotify for podcasters. Talk where the world listens.
Using Wi-Fi without NordVPN could mean sharing your private stuff with more people than you think. Stay safe on public Wi-Fi. Get NordVPN's special offer and encrypt your internet connection. NordVPN. Online security starts with a click.
Welcome back to the Harvey Hour. My name's Nathan Harvey. It's great to have you in on a Tuesday. As always, I'm joined alongside my dad, Stephen Harvey. Let's get into our next topic of today's show. So Sean Payton had a very interesting comparison when talking about Bo Nix after the team's first, basically rookie minicamp on Saturday. And this is what Sean Payton compared Bo Nix to. Take a listen.
Well, the location of throws, 2 or 3 down the field throws today. It's almost like watching a good golfer. Sometimes when you watch his game over 2 years, there's a patience to how he plays. The ball comes out, and I don't want to use the term boring. That's not the right term, but yeah, pretty good decisions. And with each play, the efficiency and how he's operating, all of that.
Well, Sean Payton has been very high on Bo Nix from the very beginning. even comparing him to Patrick Mahomes, the same type of, excitement he had for potentially drafting Mahomes, which he wanted to back in 2017 before the Chiefs jumped him. He has that same excitement now with Bo Nix. So I want to know, how do you think Bo Nix will perform if he is the year one starter under Sean Payton and the Denver Broncos?
Well, before I get into answering that question, I thought Sean Payton's comments were a little odd.
Yeah, definitely.
To say he looked like a good golfer out there?
Yep.
I mean, what does Bo Nix take away from that? I look like a good golfer?
He also called him a little bit boring. His
a little
throwing
boring,
style.
too.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Yeah.
I guess.
Well, he said it wasn't the right word, but he still.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I think what he was trying to say is, a good golfer is pretty accurate with his shots, right?
Yeah,
and
definitely.
Bo Nix apparently was very accurate with his throws.
Yeah.
He
77% completion percentage last year at college.
He did well in the practice area.
Right,
he
right,
went
right.
to the right receivers. He was as good or better than the private workout that they had, so they were happy with that. His on-field performance is exactly what they were looking for. That's what Payton said. He's doing well. The passing offense relies on consistency, rhythm, and timing. That's what Sean Payton's looking for. Maybe that's why it was boring, because he excelled in each one of those categories and being consistent, having good rhythm, and his timing was good. Apparently, he was very accurate. He hit the right receivers with the pinpoint accuracy. And he says his performance was boring in a positive way. He makes good decisions. He needs work on operating under the center. I don't think he may not have even taken a snap under center when he was in college. Everything was shotgun.
Yeah.
Where was he? He was at Oregon. That's right. Yeah. So, hey, I guess given the way that Sean Payton treated Russell Wilson, to have him say nice things about a rookie, if I were Bo Nix, I guess I'd be happy.
Well, I am very high on Bo Nix, as well as Sean Payton is clearly. If you're comparing him to Patrick Mahomes, you got to be pretty high on the guy. And I am, actually. A lot of people aren't. Well, when you lead the entire NCAA in completion percentage at 77.4, and also have 4,500 yards and 45 touchdowns, along with only 3 interceptions, and throughout your college career, you've dealt with, I think, 5 head coaches, a number of offensive coordinators, and yet you could perform at a decently high level. Like previously, when he was at Auburn, it wasn't good, it wasn't great, but it wasn't horrible. Then he goes to Oregon. Oh my God, kid could play. The first year at Oregon, 72% completion percentage, basically 3,600 yards, 29 touchdowns, 7 picks. If that was Drake May, people would be fawning over if that was Drake May. But no, it's Bo Nix. And then this past season, 77% completion percentage, 4,500 yards, 45 touchdowns, 3 picks. That's massive growth right there. And I think Sean Payton respects that. I also think, unlike Russell Wilson, who had trouble with the playbook, had to go to wristband and reportedly had to now learn 2 words, and everybody didn't know what those 2 words had to say, I think Sean Payton knows that Bo Nix will nail down this offense, which he already had, because we heard basically, like during his pro day, after his pro day, the Denver Broncos actually set up a private workout, gave him a number of offensive installs the night before. Next morning, nailing it in the classroom, making great plays on the field practice-wise. Did a great job. And that time, Sean Payton's like, you know what? This is our quarterback. Comparing it to Patrick Mahomes, though, that might be a little bit something. When talking about watching a good golfer, could it be that lines up his shot, takes his time, makes the right read, knows how to analyze the golf course to make the right putt? Maybe. And maybe that is what Bo Nix will bring. But if we're talking about the overall performance in year one, I'm saying it's going to be pretty good. I'm not saying it's going to be great. My guess is 7 wins. That's a good starting point. I would say that's a pretty good starting point, actually, because you made it to 8 wins with a guy who's already won a Super Bowl and been to 2. If you go 7 wins with a rookie quarterback that you picked last in the first round at the number 12 pick, I mean, that's pretty good. Rookie quarterback with a roster that, honestly, it isn't great. I mean, you've talked about it before. Some of the weapons that they have, and I'll bring it.
They lost a lot of their players.
They did. They lost Jerry Jeudy. Cortland Sutton's not happy with his contract situation. There's a lot of issues. Also, Javonte Williams can't stay healthy. They did pick up Josh Reynolds, which is not bad. They got Troy Franklin. They reunited him with his star wide receiver, so that's obviously good. Offensive line's okay. It's not bad at all. Defensively, you got John Franklin Myers, which I think was an underrated pickup on the defensive line, and you also have Pat Surtain on the as a cornerback for you. So I think this team's gonna be okay. I think it's still gonna be growing. You just got a rookie quarterback. My guess is you're gonna go 7-9. It's gonna be 7-10, and I think you're gonna be okay. And then moving forward, just continually grow. I think Sean Payton, honestly, I talked to one of my friends about this. Because we were talking about Bo Nix, and now we each don't hate the pick. I like Bo Nix. I'm higher on Bo Nix than he is. I think he could be a serious starter for at least 7 seasons. 7 seasons of being a legitimate starter. Now, obviously, if Sean Payton gets fired, that could obviously be a different story. But I think where you end up obviously matters. And think about this. Jameis Winston went from that 30 interception season to then, before he got hurt, 14 touchdowns, only 3 picks under Sean Payton.
Yeah.
Sean Payton knows how to coach quarterbacks. Yeah. Drew Brees
is a special talent. We don't
Obviously
know if Bo Nix is going to be another Drew Brees, but I'm happy that Payton is happy with him, and I'm happy Bo Nix is happy with them. So we'll see what happens.
Well, do you think
that if the Falcons hadn't picked Penix, that the Broncos might have picked him instead?
No. I think the Raiders probably would have.
Okay.
That's my guess. And a number of teams reportedly tried to trade up to try to get Penix, to no avail, obviously. But let me ask you this. Because the question is, how will Bo Nix perform in year 1 with the Broncos? And right now, no one's the true quarterback 1 for the team. What are the odds Bo Nix beats out Zach Wilson and Jarrett Stidham? I think pretty high. I think very, very high. Because currently right now, and obviously there's no legitimate quarterback 1. Bo Nix, according to ESPN, is the listed quarterback 1 for the Denver Broncos. I think it should be, I'm not going to say a cakewalk, because there's a reason why some of these guys are in the NFL. I think there's a very, very high chance Bo Nix will be the starter week 1. Mm-hmm. I don't think there's much question about that either. I really don't.
Do you think Zach Wilson might be released?
No, I think they're going to keep him as a quarterback 3.
Okay.
There's no reason to get off him. You're not paying him really anything. You denied his 5th-year option.
Well, given how poor the Broncos are, I thought maybe they'd just carry 2 quarterbacks so they could have one more position for something else. I mean, only 1 quarterback plays, so having 3 of them, 2 of them sitting over there on the bench, 54 players, maybe you'd like to have 1 more position player out there. We'll see.
I also think Troy Franklin being, the 5th wide receiver, I think he's going to pass Marvin Mims. I don't mind Marvin Mims. Had a couple of very, very nice plays last season. I just think the connection between Nix and Franklin will be very high, so much so that Franklin may creep up on the depth chart to, I would say, wide receiver 3 at least. He's wide receiver 5 right now. That connection, I think, is going to be something special. That's what I think. But I do think Bo Nix, this is the correct spot. I think Sean Payton is going to do wonders with Nix. I'm sure Bo Nix loves being there, learning from Sean Payton, an incredible coach. And I think, honestly, refine his game more. Long-time starter for the Denver Broncos. The Broncos have had trouble finding quarterbacks since Peyton Manning left. They've been all over. Brock Osweiler, Joe Flacco at one point. Now you have a bunch of randoms going out to Russell Wilson. You tried out. Even before Peyton Manning, you had Kyle Orton, Tim Tebow. You had a whole hodgepodge of random quarterbacks that didn't really stay very long. I think Bo Nix could be the answer for the future.
Okay. Well, we'll see.
Confident in that, too. I just think, he already fought through a bunch of adversity with learning from different coaches, learning new offensive schemes.
Yeah, well, he's going to have it tough. He's in a pretty tough division.
He is in a very, very tough division.
Yeah.
But I also think he has a very tough head coach who I think will coach him up very well.
Yeah. We'll see how he does against the Chiefs.
That's
twice a year, and against the Chargers twice a year with Harbaugh now their coach. It's going to be tough for him, I think.
I'm not going to say that it won't be hard because it's the NFL and you're a rookie quarterback. But will I say that you're going to be a bust right now?
No.
No.
I wouldn't say that.
No. I don't think it's. I really don't think it's that realistic to say Bo Nix will just be a cataclysmic failure with Denver. Personally, I can't see it. Maybe I could be completely wrong, but I don't. Right now, I don't feel like I am. 4,500 yards, 45 touchdowns, 3 picks, 77% completion percentage. Not bad at all. All right, let's get into our next topic here. So the Boston Celtics, they had a pretty good game yesterday. They took down the Cleveland Cavaliers 109-102 in Game 4. This is the first game this postseason decided by 10 points or fewer for the Boston Celtics. They go up 3-1 in the series, with Game 5 being tomorrow at 7 p.m. on TNT. After watching Game 4, do you think now the Celtics look finals bound after this win?
I don't know about finals bound, but they certainly look like they'll make it to the next round. They're up 3-1. They should be able to knock off the Cavaliers here. I mean, I'm surprised they didn't win by more in the game last night. I mean, Donovan Mitchell didn't even play.
Right.
And the game was reasonably close. I mean, at one point, the Cavaliers had the lead in this game. So, the Celtics were up, 96-83 or something like that. So later in the game, they did kind of take over. But I would have thought they would have beat them by more than 7 points without Donovan Mitchell playing in the game.
Well, I'm going to 100% agree with you on that one. But I think what we saw for the first time in a long time is Jason Tatum took over a game. 16 points in the first quarter, and then the second half, he only had 10. But in that first half was very, very important. 23 of his 33 points came in that first half, and that was really, really crucial. Also, what we talked about after, after Game 3 or Game 2? What we saw, and we mentioned it, where's Jrue Holiday shooting? Where's that 43% three-point percentage? Oh, well, there it is. He shot 50%, 4 of 8 from three-point line. He scored 16 points and also had 7 rebounds. He had a great game. And also, we mentioned this before. We talked about, does this series, do the Celtics go as far as Derek White goes? Maybe not the case, because Derek White only had 5 points, and his first and only shots came with about 3 minutes left in the third quarter. So the fact that they were able to keep up at this pace as well. Al Horford didn't have a very good game. Derek White basically had no game. He did a good job on the rebounds, but offensively, nothing. Jason Tatum still can't shoot the three for the life of him. He went 2 of 8, but he did have a double-double, 33 points, 11 rebounds, Jaylen Brown also had a good game, 27 points, 8 boards. But the fact that this game was with 7 points, and the top 2 players for the Cavs are out, with Donovan Mitchell as well as, Jared Allen, this is not a great sign. You got the win, which you should have from the get-go. You also had 26 points off turnovers, which is good. 48-32. The rebounding finally came into play. Good job. You out-rebounded them by 16. Free throws. I wish the Mavs could understand what the word free throw meant, because that was pitiful last night. But 87.5% chance from the free throw line. Good. You beat the Cavs also in second chance points and fast break points. Good. That's what you need to do. Win and try to win in every facet. But the fact that this game was this close, you didn't shoot poorly from 3, which is always so good. 38%, 37.5%, not bad. Mm-hmm. But the fact that you only won by 7 and your highest lead was 15, and you went down as much as 6 with a team without its 2 best players, that's a little bit concerning.
Yeah, I think so, a lot. And I would say this game looks a lot like the Celtics in the playoffs last year, with Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown carrying the team and the rest of the guys role players. And that won't get them to the finals, I don't think. Depending on who they play. I mean, the Knicks, the Pacers is kind of an interesting series, right? The Knicks looked so terrible in that last game.
Yeah.
I mean, that was, although the game on Friday night was one of the nicest games I've watched all year. It was really exciting. And too bad the Knicks didn't win that one, because they had the chance there at the end, and they could have gone up 3-1, and they didn't. Now it's 2-2. But going back to New York, the Pacers don't win on the road, so they got to hope, the Knicks got to hope they can keep winning at home so they can win that series. But they're looking beat up, and Jalen Brunson is looking beat up, and he didn't have a good game on Sunday. I think he's running out of gas, and that was a concern that we mentioned earlier in the playoffs. You look at Josh Hart; he played a lot of minutes. The starters all play a lot of minutes. They got Anunoby is out. Mitchell Robinson not playing. They're beat up. I think that if they can limp through and get to the Eastern Conference Finals, I think the Celtics, if Porzingis is back, that the Celtics should win that series.
100%.
But if they keep playing the way they're playing and just kind of playing down to the competition with two of their best players out and only winning by 7. That gives me pause.
Well, I think the Celtics right now, because Donovan Mitchell was out, I think honestly, I think they should make it 100% make it to the finals now because everybody's banged up. Tyrese Halliburton banged up. Jalen Brunson, OG Anunoby banged up. OG's gonna miss tonight's game as well. So with him down now 2 games in a row, the series for the Knicks is now tied up. The Knicks are in some serious danger right now. Honestly, the game's going on right now. But I think the Knicks are in serious danger with OG and with Jalen Brunson both dealing with injuries, and also Tyrese Halliburton dealing with an injury as well. I think, and with Porzingis probably coming back for the Eastern Conference Finals, the Celtics are going to be healthy compared to 2 banged-up teams.
Yeah.
And then even if, so let's say they make it to the NBA Finals. And the way it looks like now, Denver has come alive again. They were able to tie up the series, and honestly, tonight, I feel like they could take Game 5 because they have figured out a way to stop Anthony Edwards from being effective. Karl Anthony Towns really is not doing very well shooting the ball. I think, honestly, if the Celtics stay healthy, they should be able to win the NBA Finals. 100%, because it seems like a bunch of teams are banged up. Luka looks banged up. I think overall, Shea also it has looked slow. And I mean,
Jokic looks pretty good.
Jokic always looks.
Murray looks okay.
The first 2 games, Jokic and Murray did not look good whatsoever, especially in that second game.
The last 2 games, they look pretty good.
Well, they figured out a way to start winning some games.
See that steal that Murray had right before the end of the half? He tossed up a half-court shot, swish.
Yeah, and I believe that was also, I believe that was after they got a very, very fast slam dunk by Michael Porter Jr. as well. Defense into offense. So I think the Nuggets are probably going to be back. But no matter who the Celtics face, a lot of teams are banged up right now. I'm not going to say cakewalk, but I think it's going to be extremely easy with your players coming back. The Knicks, Mitchell Robinson will be reevaluated in like 5 to 7 weeks from now. He's done. Absolutely done. Luka, not 100% healthy. The entire West, well, yes, the West is better than the East if we're talking about the totality of the conferences. The Celtics are healthy. If once again, there's one word the Celtics need to live by: consistency. They like to go up and down a lot, and a lot of times they hit very, very low points, really when they shouldn't have. This game, I feel like, was one of those games. But the fact that Drew Holiday was able to pick up Derek White's slack, it's a positive sign. Knicks banged up, Pacers banged up to get to the NBA Finals. I do think after this win, they are finals bound because Cavs are dealing with injuries, Pacers are dealing with injuries, Knicks are all banged up. I definitely think Celtics, NBA Finals 2024, book it. Book it. I'm not saying win, finals bound though. Definitely going to make it at least.
Okay, well, that's an interesting observation and prediction.
I mean,
we'll see what happens.
I don't think it's a prediction. Everybody expected the Celtics to make it to the NBA Finals just because look at all the talent.
I just think the way they play in the playoffs, they're kind of up and down. You don't have real confidence that they can blow out a team when they don't have the 2 best players. And they didn't do it.
It does.
Darius Garland, 30 points.
He had a great game.
Evan Mobley, 19 points, 9 rebounds, 3 assists. Karis LeVert, 19 points.
Coming off the bench, that was big for him. Coming off the bench, that was massive.
Yeah. Max Strus had a good game. 7 rebounds, 7 assists, 15 points.
Also bothered Jason Tatum a number of times.
Yeah.
Although it wasn't to much success, when you bother someone getting to the head, it's hard to rebound from that. It's hard to stay consistent.
Yeah.
And then that second half, you go scoring 23 points in one half to only 10 in the second. Maybe got to him a little bit.
They definitely need Porzingis back. Because you look at Al Horford, 6 rebounds, 6 points, 28 minutes. He really didn't have much of a game. Luke Cornett, 19 minutes, 6 rebounds, 9 points. So they got 15 points out of the center position and 12 rebounds. So maybe that doesn't look so bad overall. But Porzingis was ranked so high for them in many of the categories for the team that if they want to win the championship, he's got to be back. So
I have it here. I believe I do. Yeah, in the advanced stats, or I do not. This is for Jared Allen. I have it somewhere here, but I don't have it offhand. So yeah, no. Porzingis is like first in offensive rating.
You went through him before.
Second
He was
defensive
first, second, first.
Yeah, no,
Yeah, so
he's an incredibly valuable asset. But I'll give you this: the numbers, and you brought them up correctly. They don't lie. The Celtics have, 5 losses with Porzingis out? They have 25 wins with him out as well?
They were 21-4 at first,
right?
Without him.
So now they're 24-5.
Yeah.
Not bad.
Yeah.
With statistically one of your better players?
Yeah.
It's not bad at all.
They have to have him back, though. If they want to win the championship.
1,000%. You need to, because who's going to guard Jokic?
It's going to be tough to come back from that injury. You saw Giannis. He couldn't make it back.
Correct. Because think about it. Let's go through it real quick. Who's going to guard Chet Holmgren? Al Horford? Too slow. Chet Holmgren's going to also scour the perimeter as well. Yeah. Jokic. No one's really a good match. Honestly, Rudy Gobert is a pretty good matchup against Jokic, but he's been dealing with an injury. You need Porzingis out there.
I don't see Chet Holmgren as kind of a skinny guy.
He is a skinny guy. He is. I don't think Miles Turner. No. Miles Turner, yeah, I think Porzingis might win that one. Since Mitch Robinson's out, Hartenstein. I thought that would be an interesting matchup to watch.
Hartenstein's played well this year.
He stepped into a bigger role with Mitch Robinson out and Julius Randle dealing with an injury, and he's done very well. He's done incredibly well. One of the highest offensive rating guys in the entire NBA. Also has a pretty decently high defensive rating. I believe he's top 10 in that too. So he has stepped up for the Knicks, and when they need him the most, he makes that weird-looking floater shot. It's such a weird floater. It looks like it kind of looks delayed, actually, a little bit. But hey, it works. Well,
yeah.
Kind of.
Whatever works for you, go for it.
We'll see tonight how the Knicks do against the Indiana Pacers, which currently is on TNT. I think tip-off started about a minute ago. So we'll have to wait and see what that game looks like tonight. But let's get to our final topic of today's show. So the announcement, Tom BRady, his first broadcast game as a broadcaster for Fox has been announced, and it is the game of the week, 4:25 Eastern on Fox. It will be the Dallas Cowboys at the Cleveland Browns. Currently, the very, very early point spread is Cowboys -1.5. It was kind of funny, though. Brady's last game as a quarterback was a wild card game when he was with the Bucs against the Dallas Cowboys and got smoked by the Cowboys, looked uncomfortable, looked confused. It was a bad game for Brady. And now his first game as a broadcaster, he's calling a Cowboys game. It's pretty interesting. But I want to know, what are your expectations from Brady in his first game as a broadcaster for Fox?
I think it'll be heavily watched.
Absolutely.
I think it'll be one of the highest rated watched games, regular season, ever, is my prediction. I think that everyone's going to tune in to see what Tom BRady has to say in his first game as a color commentator. It's the first time in 5 years the NFL opens with the Cowboys, so that would be interesting. Brady's going to be working with Kevin Burkhardt, and that will be his partner. He's got a 10-year, $375 million contract, so he won't be on the street anytime soon with that kind of money. That's pretty good. And, he said earlier in the year when he was getting a haircut there on that show where the guy gives a haircut and they have a discussion, they asked him if he might come back. He said, I'm always open to it. He said, I can still throw the ball. I'm in good shape. So he mentioned the Patriots as a team he might go to.
Well, Gerard Mayo actually, mentioned that. Doesn't look good. He said maybe as a coach, but as a player, probably not.
Come on. If Tom BRady wanted to come back and you were in playoff contention and your quarterback got hurt, you wouldn't sign him up? Come on.
I mean, I'm telling you what Gerard Mayo said. I'm just saying.
I know that's a no. I would think that I'm surprised Gerard Mayo would say something like that.
Hey.
So Brady says, when asked about his new job, amazing. Obviously, having the Cowboys is a huge draw. So and America's team, that's going to be hard for me to get used to because I considered them competition for many, many years when we played against them. And as I know the Cowboys and how important they are to Fox, and there's a lot of great storylines. Can Dak finally come through? That was one thing he mentioned. Parsons is a great defensive player, and Coach McCarthy gave credit to Coach McCarthy too. He says, "I'm going to love covering them. I'm going to digest. I've been going up against them for a long time now, and I get to tell everyone how great they are." So it hasn't been that long since he played against them. He played against a lot of these guys. So his first year will be quite interesting, I think, to hear what he has to say about players that it wasn't so long ago that he played against. He's one of the highest profile athletes, active or retired. He says he's going to work extremely hard, like he always does. Like he always does. He thinks that he learned a lot of things he learned as a quarterback will carry over to this different career, and that makes sense, right? He's going to be a color commentator on NFL games. So the strategy and what the quarterback might do, and kind of trying to predict what the play is going to be. That's what kind of made Tony Romo a little famous for a while. That he was able to determine what the play was going to be before it was called. So we'll see what Brady does. I'll be watching.
Yeah, no, it should be very, very fascinating to watch. Brady, when he does something, I feel like we have to kind of acknowledge he'll give his all at it. 100%. Football, life, business, any adventure, any expenditure that he has, he goes all in on it. Even on the roast. He had a roast on Netflix recently. He went all in. It was pretty funny in it, actually. I think a lot of people found it very, very strange to see Tom BRady with that type of personality as well. They roasted him, called him about his wife and that divorce. He took it. He didn't take a Robert Kraft joke very well, but hey, it's kind of weird how he defends Kraft. He's okay with everything else.
And told him never say that again.
Right, yeah. No, it was weird seeing that. But I think, I'm not going to say Brady's going to be the next Madden out there, but what I will say is he'll be better than Tony Romo. Because everybody, I think right now, Tony Romo, he's become sort of this interesting, not really interesting anymore, but just weird commentator now. I think Brady's going to be a step above that because he is the greatest quarterback of all time. And this matchup might not be that great because Dak Prescott's 3-5 in his career record for week 1, as well as Deshaun Watson's 1-4. And also, the stats aren't that good. 63% completion percentage, 252 passing yards a game, 9 touchdowns, 2 picks, compared to Deshaun Watson's, which is 190.6 passing yards a game, 7 touchdowns, 5 picks. Not great week 1 matchup. I guess just the stakes are very high. Deshaun Watson come back from the injury. Dak Prescott last year with the Cowboys, contract-wise, he's going to probably be fired up to prove him wrong. Also have another MVP run type season, so we'll have to wait and see. But I do think Brady will be fascinating. I think he'll be a great listen to. His insight will be better than Tony Romo's because we even heard him before. We've heard him on a number of podcasts, even his Let's Go podcast. He complains about how stuff's being coached because he understands that he's out there playing chess and everyone else is playing checkers. So he'll be out there drawing up things. I don't know if he'll be using a telestrator per se, but he'll be analyzing, maybe, for instance, what Dak should be doing, what he could be doing, what play that the Cowboys should maybe run in a type of situation, kind of like Tony Romo did. But I do think it will be better just because of the fact that I think Brady just overall has a deeper insight into the game of football, played longer than Tony Romo. And I think he has a deeper insight into today's game because he only played 2 years ago. That's crazy to think about.
Won 7 Super Bowls.
Yeah, when you talk about
He's
Super Bowl
got to have
winners,
something positive to say and something insightful to say when you won 7 Super Bowls. He's one of the smartest quarterbacks ever to play. And I think 50-50 mental, physical ability, clearly important. And maybe even the mental part's rated a little more.
The mental is better.
60-40 maybe. And that was Brady. I mean, he wasn't the greatest athlete. They keep showing his combine where he's struggling to run around the cones. Yeah. And but hey, 7 Super Bowls.
I think realistically, you mentioned high watch. This is going to be I don't know if maybe it's because of the competition. It won't be as high, but I do think this will be one of the highest opening games, I guess, for week 1. I think just because Brady's being the commentator or the color commentator of this, I think it's going to be an incredibly high. Now, just per chance. I know, obviously, NBC has the Thursday game of week 1, and then it switches over to Amazon. But if Brady was that Thursday game, right, if he was the color commentator for the Thursday game, would it be the most watched Thursday game? Like, what's this Thursday? Is it Chiefs Ravens? Is that the Thursday game week 1? I think it is because I know obviously the schedule drops.
Chiefs Ravens.
If that's the Thursday game for week 1 and Brady was the commentator of that game, I think realistically that might be one of the highest watched. And I think large part, yes, it is because it's Lamar Jackson, Mahomes, Travis Kelce, everybody, Derrick Henry now in the Ravens. I think also because of Tom Brady's being a color commentator, which we haven't heard. Now he's tried his best being the quarterback. He's done a great job being a quarterback. And I think this is going to be a new adventure. And will he have hiccups? That's the question. Will he have some time?
I doubt it. I mean, he's a guy who wants excellence. He used to say, Every play, it's got to be perfect every time. It's got to be perfect every time. He's going to set himself a very high standard here. He said he's going to work extremely hard. I think he'll do an excellent job.
I agree. Question is, though, will he become... I'm not going to ask you. Will he become the best color commentator in the NFL, in NFL history?
I don't know about that. There's a little soon to tell.
Exactly.
I mean, there's some big names out there on that one, particularly Madden.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? So, and he have 10 years to prove it.
$375 million.
$1 million. Yeah.
That contract right there in half the time will be more money than he's made in his entire NFL career.
He may regret taking it. I mean, after 5 years, if he's considered in Madden territory, there'll be other. He could probably command a ton more money with another network. So I don't know if he has any outs in that contract. He can buy out. Be bought out or buy out or leave or I don't know. That's interesting. But 10 years is a long time to be with one outfit.
I think you know what. I think Greg Olson did a great job with Fox.
Yeah.
I think he did a tremendous job. I think Brady, he's going to bring a whole new level of analysis. The thing, maybe Tony Romo did a great job. Everyone, I think, remembers the 2018 AFC Championship game, Patriots-Chiefs. The consecutive 3rd and 10s. Romo was like, watch the top of the screen. He's going to throw it to Edelman if this thing happens. Lo and behold, Brady's throwing it to Edelman. Look at Gronk, top of the screen. Lo and behold, it's being thrown to Gronk. So he did a great job being able to analyze that side of the game. I think Brady will bring a level to that. And if he does keep it up, it's what made Romo a very, at the very beginning, a very enjoyable watch and a very enjoyable listen when he gives that type of analysis.
Yeah, I don't think Romo's so bad. Yeah, he's still pretty good. I enjoy listening to him.
He definitely has regressed in his commentating career. Yeah. And I think, could it be that the game, maybe, he's not as in tune to the game as maybe Brady will be? Because Brady played in today's NFL. He saw what the NFL used to be, what it was growing into, and now what it is. That's crazy to think that one player played in what we call the old NFL now, and then, the beginning of the defense to offense transition, and now we're just fully fledged offense. I guarantee you, Brady's going to give a couple comments about maybe roughing the passers, pass interference, illegal contact. There's going to be some bad calls. I think Brady will talk about how the NFL might be a little bit soft in that regard. That's my prediction. If I'm going to give a prediction today about Brady's commentating career, I think we're going to see a number of times where there could be a bad call and Brady's like, that shouldn't be called, but in today's NFL, it has to be called. Something like that. But, was it September 8th? Yeah, September 8th at 4:25. Fox's game of the week. Dallas Cowboys at Cleveland Browns, currently 1.5-point favorites. Could make an appearance on the Harvey Hot Hand 2024-2025 edition when we get to that point. But yeah, I think that does wrap up today's show. A bit of an announcement though. Friday, we will not be on air at 6:30 on Friday. We will be on air on Saturday. That Saturday we will be on about the same time, 6:30. So make sure you stay tuned in there. We'll be recapping the Knicks series because at that point, depending on maybe who takes Game 5 tonight, we could potentially be seeing the Knicks now no longer being in the playoffs. The Pacers maybe no longer being in the playoffs because they do play that Friday night. So we'll talk about that series as well as Western Conference playoffs are wrapping up too. Thunder Mavericks. Mavericks got to hit free throws. Simple as that. 50% from the free throw line. That's a complete embarrassment. I'm sorry. We talked about the Knicks not making free throws, and they were at 71%. Mavericks are at 50%. So, like I said, Saturday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern. We'll see you then. But for this episode of the Harvey Hour, my name's Nathan Harvey. That's been Stephen Harvey. We have been your host of the Harvey Hour. Like I said, catch us Saturday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern, right here on YouTube.
Using Wi-Fi without NordVPN could mean sharing your private stuff with more people than you think. Stay safe on public Wi-Fi. Get NordVPN's special offer and encrypt your internet connection. NordVPN. Online security starts with a click.